Hey, what's up you guys? It's Texmer talking to you here, and today I want to compare the Apple's two latest phones, the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pro, and of course the 13 mini and the 13 Pro Max. These phones were launched yesterday on Apple's event, and there are some differences that's important to notice, but these two phones are ultimately very similar, just like last year's iPhone 12's lineup. But before we go start in this video, roll the intro. So, the iPhone 13 and the 13 mini have not got a huge redesign or revamp from last year. The cameras are now diagonal, so Apple did it because they needed to put more space on this camera bump because they needed to use bigger lenses for sensor shift technology. So the new iPhone 13s have the diagonal shapes on the camera, and that's it. That's the only change in terms of looks at the back. On the front, we have the notch, while the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max have a little bit more changes. The iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max feature bigger camera bumps than last year, mainly the iPhone 13 Pro. The iPhone 13 Pro now features 3 lenses, huge lenses, all new lenses. Of course, the iPhone 13 also features 2 new lenses, but these lenses takes even more space than last time. So I think that the design from the back of the iPhone 13 will be the one that shocks the most, because the 13 Pro will have huge lenses that will make differences. Also, there's 5 new colors on the iPhone 13, 4 new colors on the iPhone 13 Pro. So these are the differences in terms of aesthetic from the back. From the front, it's almost the same. They have the same smaller notch, which is around 20% smaller than the iPhone 12s. So if you are looking for a phone in terms of looks, I think that the 13 Pro now looks even more pro than the 13s when compared to last year. But that's a choice you have to make in terms of design. Well, talking about the cameras, they are the most important part of these phones. And I think that it's very important to notice that the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro feature the same cameras in terms of the wide and ultra-wide. They have the same new 2 ultra-wide cameras, but with some big differences. The ultra-wide on the iPhone 13 Pro now features macro photography. So you are able to take macro shots, which are very beautiful to take and very fun, instead of the iPhone 13, which, according to Apple, I don't think that we got the idea that that's able to do it. I think that's a Pro feature for the Pro phones. And the macro photography, it's a huge deal, because now with the same lens you can do another lens job. So instead of having 4 lenses, you have 3 that can do the job of 4. This is very important. So in terms of the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, these are not able to do macro photography, but they still have sensor shift technology and the ultra-wide lens from the iPhone 13 Pro. So the iPhone 13 and 13 mini still feature the wide camera, the new wide camera that has even bigger sensors that captures 47 to 48% more light. So the night mode photos will be even better, which is pretty cool. And I think that the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max, in terms of the wide and ultra wide, only win on the macro photography side. They also can do both cinematography mode and styles. So this is very cool that these new 2 modes make do for Apple to be able to upgrade from people from the 12s and 12 Pro, because these 2 features are exclusive to the 13 lineup. The styles that make you like change the vivid and the filters and add exposure and some pre-made like color grade stuff real time, so you can see when taking the picture and you can adjust exposure and all of those stuff. But now on the 13 Pro and 13 mini and 13, you can do the cinematography mode, which enables portrait video. So like the phone can change focus from one subject to another doing a shooting and can blur the background, which is pretty cool. And also you can change this on post, so which is even more powerful. This is pretty cool, and I'm very excited to try it out on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But this year there's no differences between the 13 Pro and Pro Max, and these 2 phones feature a huge new wide lens, a new ultra-wide lens, and a brand new telephoto. This telephoto lens now is a 77mm, and it can go further to 3x. So now your focal range is 6x. This is very impressive, and a 3x telephoto will enable an even further view, and of course it will enable beautiful portrait mode photos and portrait video. I'm very excited. There's some limitations. For example, if you buy the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max on 128 gigabytes, your ProRes will be downscaled to 1080p at 30. If you buy the upper end storage, you will get 4K at 30. Of course, cinematography mode is recorded on Dolby Vision 10. And of course, these are the big differences between the iPhone 13, 13 mini and the 13 and 13 Pro's camera. I think that the two 13 Pro and Pro Max and the 13 and 13 mini have very cool camera systems, and I think that you can differentiate both if you are excited about cameras, and you should go for the 13 Pro and Pro Max if you love your camera system. If you only use your cameras to take pictures of your friends and take small pictures and don't care about that much about cameras, go for the 13 and 13 mini. Those are amazing phones and amazing value right now. Or even consider go for the 12, which right now is very, very cheap. Now it's going to be around $599 for the 12 mini and $699 for the 12 iPhone. So this is pretty cheap. Also, the iPhone 11 is now $499. Don't buy an iPhone IC. Please spend $100 much and get a way better phone, the iPhone 11. Another thing that's changed between these two phones is the A15. Normally, we get the same chip on the Pro lineup and the normal lineup, but this year, Apple has changed that. Now, they've added one more GPU core on the Pro models, so it's a little bit more powerful. It's the same chip that's present on the iPad mini 6, so you can expect a little bit more performance, maybe 10% more graphic performance. But the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, you won't notice the difference between those two, because what are you doing on your iPhone that makes the differences between those two chips? I don't know. But if you want a more powerful chip, of course, and you want the most amount of performance for a phone, go for the Pro models, the Pro Max and the Pro. And another thing that's changed is the battery life. But this is not as regular as the other things, because although the 13 mini got 1.5 hours and the 13 got 2.5 hours, the iPhone 13 Pro only got 1.5 hours and the 13 Pro Max got 2.5 hours. So the 13 Pro Max and the 13 got the same jump, but the 13 and the 13 Pro have the same amount of battery and the same displays and the same everything. So why would you get 1.5 hours on the iPhone 13 Pro and only 2.5 hours on the iPhone 13? Well, that's explained by the fact that the iPhone 13 Pro features 120 Hz, which ProMotion takes a little bit more battery out of your battery capacity. So the 13, of course, with the same battery, a more efficient chip, and of course, no 120 Hz, has a little bit more battery life. But these gains are incredible, and compared to the 12 lineup, this is a huge upgrade in terms of battery life. Like I was talking, the ProMotion is present now on the 13 Pro and Pro Max, which makes their screens amazing. Apple now can refresh rate the display and change it dynamically wherever they want to. They are doing this to save battery life. So the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max can change their refresh rate accordingly how fast you are scrolling. If you are scrolling too fast, the refresh rate will go down or go up according to your speed of scrolling and according to the video that you are watching or what you are doing. If you are stopped, they will go down to 100 to 10 Hz. If you are scrolling very fast, they will go 100 to 120 Hz. If you are scrolling slowly, they can go to 60 Hz. And if you are scrolling slowly, they can go to 50 or 40 Hz. So if you are watching a movie at 24 frames per second, it can go down to 48 Hz. And if you are watching a movie at 30 frames per second, it can go down to 60 Hz. This is very exciting, and I'm very excited to use the ProMotion. I love my ProMotion iPad Pro, and I'm very excited to see on the iPhone. I think that it will make a huge difference on everyday life. Of course, the 13 and 13 mini don't feature any high refresh rate display, although it's not clear if they feature an LTPO display OLED. Probably they do, because Apple says that their screens are more efficient. Let's see when that comes out, let's see what can we take from the specs. Another thing that's changed, of course, on the screen is the smaller notch. Is 20% smaller, and the front camera now is more compact. We got the speaker grill on top, but these are the same on the two iPhones, and you won't notice any differences. What you will notice on the screen is the brightness. On the 13 and 13 mini, the brightness has been upped, so now you have 800 nits at max brightness and 1200 nits at HDR, which was the iPhone 12 Pro's last year's screens. While this year we got on the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max 1000 nits of max brightness normally, which is pretty impressive. And those were the differences between the two phones. Which one are you getting? The 13 or the 13 Pro? The 13 Pro Max or the 13 mini? The two extremes. Tell me in the comments down below. I'm very excited for these two phones, although they seemed like an S tier for me. Am I upgrading? I don't think so. The iPhone 12 Pro is still amazing, and the differences don't justify that. But are you upgrading? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And of course, while you're there, turn on the notification bell, and please follow my social networks, Twitter and Instagram. And leave a comment down below. Do you like the event, or were you disappointed? This is Sexumer talking to you here. Bye.